Peter Pan syndrome is a term used to describe a condition in which adults, often men, display an unwillingness or inability to grow up and take on the typical responsibilities associated with adulthood. Named after the fictional character Peter Pan, who famously refuses to grow old, individuals exhibiting this behavior remain emotionally and psychologically stunted, struggling to transition from adolescence to maturity. This phenomenon is not officially recognized in diagnostic manuals like the DSM-V, but it is widely discussed in psychological and sociological contexts. It touches on deeper issues of emotional development, responsibility, and the social pressures that come with adulthood. Origins of the concept. The term Peter Pan syndrome was popularized by Dr. Dan Kiley in his 1983 book, The Peter Pan Syndrome: Men Who Have Never Grown Up. While the concept has since evolved, it was originally used to describe men who displayed significant emotional immaturity, an aversion to commitment, and an inability to take on adult roles such as holding stable jobs, maintaining long-term relationships, or assuming financial responsibilities. These behaviors, while not exclusive to men, have often been associated with male reluctance to conform to societal expectations surrounding adulthood. Characteristics of Peter Pan syndrome. Although Peter Pan syndrome is not formally recognized as a mental health disorder, several behaviors are commonly associated with it. Avoidance of responsibility. Individuals often evade long-term responsibilities, including managing their finances, maintaining a stable job, or establishing a long-term relationship. Emotional immaturity. A refusal to engage in mature, healthy emotional relationships or resolve conflicts constructively is a hallmark trait. Dependence on others. Many individuals with Peter Pan syndrome remain financially or emotionally dependent on their parents or partners well into adulthood. Fear of commitment. Avoiding commitment in personal relationships is common, with individuals often refusing to settle into long-term partnerships. Preference for instant gratification. These individuals often prioritize immediate pleasure and enjoyment over long-term goals or stability. Emotional and mental health challenges. Over time, the behaviors associated with Peter Pan syndrome can contribute to mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. The failure to meet societal expectations or personal goals can lead to feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. Additionally, the constant reliance on escapism, whether through video games, excessive entertainment, or avoidance of real-world issues, prevents individuals from developing the necessary coping mechanisms for dealing with stress or emotional challenges. In cases where someone with Peter Pan syndrome is confronted with the realities of their situation, such as financial instability, failed relationships, or dissatisfaction at work, the mental strain can become overwhelming. These individuals often lack the emotional resilience that comes with years of taking responsibility for their actions and learning from mistakes. Without developing coping skills, they may become more susceptible to anxiety disorders, as they feel ill-equipped to handle the challenges of adult life. Moreover, depression can manifest when the person realizes that their lifestyle, which might have been carefree and enjoyable in their youth, no longer fits within societal expectations or personal aspirations. Watching their peers succeed professionally, settle down into stable relationships, or achieve significant life milestones can exacerbate feelings of inadequacy, loneliness, and isolation. In some cases, narcissistic tendencies may arise as a defense mechanism, by convincing themselves that they are above societal norms or that others are wrong for embracing adulthood. Individuals with Peter Pan syndrome may avoid feelings of failure and protect their fragile self-esteem. However, this can lead to a lack of introspection and personal growth, further stunting their emotional and social development. The role of escapism in Peter Pan syndrome. Escapism plays a central role in the lives of individuals with Peter Pan syndrome. The rapid rise of digital entertainment and immersive technology, such as online gaming, social media, and streaming platforms, has made it easier than ever for people to retreat into worlds where they can avoid the demands of real life. Video games, in particular, offer a form of escapism where individuals can live out fantasies of success, power, and accomplishment without confronting their real-world challenges. In many cases, the problem is not the activity itself, but the imbalance. Instead of serving as a temporary break from reality, these activities can become the primary focus of life, causing individuals to neglect their responsibilities. The ease of access to such distractions means that it's easier than ever to delay personal development, reinforcing a state of arrested emotional growth. Escapism also extends beyond digital realms. Some individuals may immerse themselves in physical activities such as extreme sports or travel, seeking thrill and excitement to avoid the stability and routine that adulthood often demands. While these pursuits may seem harmless or even admirable on the surface, they often mask a deeper desire to evade the responsibilities that come with settling down or committing to long-term goals. The impact of Peter Pan syndrome on relationships. Peter Pan syndrome frequently leads to dysfunctional relationships, as those with the syndrome often struggle to maintain long-term commitments. Their partners may find themselves in the role of caretaker, constantly compensating for their partner's emotional immaturity and lack of responsibility. This dynamic can create significant tension in relationships, as the partner without Peter Pan syndrome may eventually feel overwhelmed by the lack of support and equal partnership. Many with Peter Pan syndrome gravitate toward relationships where they are not required to grow emotionally. They may pursue younger or less mature partners who are willing to indulge their carefree lifestyle, or they may seek out relationships where their partner assumes the more responsible role. However, over time, the imbalance in these relationships can lead to resentment on both sides. For the partner, the continual support required to maintain the relationship can become emotionally draining. Over time, they may feel more like a parent than an equal, and the burden of managing both their life and their partners can lead to emotional exhaustion. The inability to depend on their partner for support during challenging times further erodes the foundation of the relationship. On the other hand, those with Peter Pan syndrome often feel trapped or pressured when faced with the responsibilities of a mature relationship. They may exhibit avoidance behaviors, such as infidelity or simply withdrawing emotionally, to escape the feeling of being tied down. Eventually, many of these relationships either collapse due to the underlying issues or continue in a state of dysfunction, with both partners feeling unfulfilled. Societal factors and the rise of Peter Pan syndrome. The prevalence of Peter Pan syndrome has grown in recent decades, influenced by a variety of societal and economic factors. Many sociologists point to shifting cultural expectations, changes in gender roles, and evolving economic conditions as contributors to this phenomenon. Economic uncertainty. The global economy has changed dramatically over the past century. Factors such as the high cost of living, student debt, and job market instability have made it more difficult for young adults to achieve financial independence. As a result, many remain reliant on their parents for longer periods, either by living at home or depending on financial assistance. While these factors alone do not cause Peter Pan syndrome, they create an environment in which delaying adulthood becomes more common. Cultural shifts. Cultural expectations around adulthood have also evolved. In previous generations, getting married, having children, and establishing a career were seen as non-negotiable milestones that marked the transition into adulthood. However, modern society places more emphasis on personal fulfillment, self-discovery, and experience-based living, delaying traditional life milestones. This has led to an increasing number of adults choosing to focus on themselves and their personal growth before settling down, which can sometimes be misconstrued as Peter Pan-like behavior. Technology and instant gratification. The rise of digital entertainment has also played a significant role in reinforcing Peter Pan syndrome. Modern technology provides instant gratification through streaming services, social media, and video games, which offer a means to escape real-world challenges. This digital immersion can foster a mentality where personal growth is delayed in favor of temporary pleasure. Changing gender roles. The pressure on men to conform to traditional gender roles, particularly as providers and protectors, has also shifted. In many cases, men with Peter Pan syndrome reject these roles, choosing instead to remain in a state of adolescence, where such responsibilities are minimized or avoided. This shift can create confusion or frustration for their partners, especially in societies that still place high value on traditional masculinity. Overcoming Peter Pan syndrome, challenges and possibilities. Overcoming Peter Pan syndrome requires a willingness to change and confront the underlying issues that have contributed to the refusal to grow up. For many, this process begins with self-awareness, recognizing the impact their behaviors have on their relationships, career, and personal well-being. However, breaking free from the comfort of escapism and emotional avoidance is not easy, especially for those who have been entrenched in these behaviors for years. Therapy is often a crucial tool for addressing the emotional immaturity that underpins Peter Pan syndrome. Cognitive behavioral therapy, for example, can help individuals develop healthier coping mechanisms for managing stress, improving communication, and taking responsibility for their actions. Therapy can also assist in addressing the root causes of emotional avoidance, which may stem from childhood experiences, trauma, or deep-seated fears about adulthood. Support systems, including family, friends, and partners, play a vital role in helping individuals with Peter Pan syndrome mature. Encouragement, combined with setting clear boundaries, can help foster responsibility and accountability. However, support should not enable the individual to continue avoiding responsibilities. Instead, it should challenge them to confront their fears and develop more mature behaviors. Breaking free from Peter Pan syndrome steps towards growth. Overcoming Peter Pan syndrome requires significant self-reflection and an active effort to take on the responsibilities that have been avoided for so long. For many, the journey toward emotional maturity can be a difficult one, especially if the individual has spent years entrenched in behaviors that provide instant gratification while avoiding personal and professional growth. The process of breaking free from this mindset involves both internal and external changes, often facilitated by the support of friends, family, and sometimes professional therapy. Self-awareness and acceptance. The first step toward overcoming Peter Pan syndrome is recognizing the impact that emotional immaturity and avoidance have had on one's life. This requires the individual to reflect on their behavior and understand how their reluctance to grow up may be affecting their relationships, career, and sense of self-worth. Once an individual accepts that they have been avoiding adulthood, they can begin to make deliberate choices to change. Setting realistic goals. People with Peter Pan syndrome often struggle with setting and achieving long-term goals, as they tend to prioritize short-term pleasures. By focusing on small, manageable goals, such as taking responsibility for personal finances, maintaining stable employment, or investing time in meaningful relationships, an individual can start to develop a sense of achievement and purpose. Setting realistic milestones allows them to experience the rewards of adult life without feeling overwhelmed by the larger demands of adulthood. Emotional development. Emotional growth is central to overcoming Peter Pan syndrome. Individuals need to learn how to manage their emotions in a healthy way, including how to handle stress, disappointment, and conflict. Building emotional resilience is key to confronting the inevitable challenges that come with adult life. Therapy, such as cognitive behavioral therapy or talk therapy, can be an invaluable tool in helping individuals identify patterns of avoidance and emotional suppression. In a therapeutic setting, individuals can develop healthier coping mechanisms, learn to resolve conflicts constructively, and gain insight into their own emotional needs and motivations. Financial independence. Financial responsibility is often one of the major obstacles faced by individuals with Peter Pan syndrome. Many of them rely on their parents or caregivers for financial support well into adulthood. Achieving financial independence requires not only obtaining stable employment, but also learning how to manage money, budget, and plan for the future. Financial autonomy is a significant step toward adulthood, as it forces the individual to confront the realities of living independently and making informed decisions about their livelihood. Building meaningful relationships. Peter Pan syndrome often leads to superficial or short-lived relationships due to the individual's reluctance to commit. One key to overcoming this behavior is developing emotional intimacy and a sense of mutual responsibility in relationships. This means moving beyond self-centered behaviors and learning to invest in others, recognizing the value of long-term partnerships, and embracing the challenges and rewards of shared responsibility. Developing a sense of purpose. A common trait among individuals with Peter Pan syndrome is a lack of direction or purpose in life. They may drift from one interest to another without committing to any long-term goals. Finding a sense of purpose, whether through a fulfilling career, a passion project, or meaningful volunteer work, can help provide structure and motivation. Purpose gives an individual a reason to embrace adulthood and its responsibilities, rather than viewing them as burdens. Broader societal impact of Peter Pan syndrome. Peter Pan syndrome has broader societal implications beyond the individual level, as it touches on evolving cultural norms, economic pressures, and shifts in family dynamics. As more individuals delay traditional adulthood milestones such as marriage, career advancement, or home ownership, societies must grapple with the consequences of these prolonged transitions. Impact on family structures. The tendency for individuals with Peter Pan syndrome to remain dependent on their parents or caregivers well into adulthood can place significant strain on family dynamics. Parents may feel the financial and emotional burden of continuing to support their adult children, while siblings or partners may resent the lack of contribution or responsibility from the individual affected by the syndrome. In some cases, this dynamic can lead to deep-seated familial tension or conflict. Economic implications. The broader societal trend of delayed adulthood, whether caused by financial instability, student debt, or other factors, has economic ramifications. As more young adults remain financially dependent on their families or live at home longer, their participation in the economy is delayed. The inability to achieve financial independence can contribute to larger issues such as reduced consumer spending, delayed home ownership, and lower rates of saving for retirement. While not all individuals who face these challenges exhibit the behaviors associated with Peter Pan syndrome, the phenomenon does contribute to the broader societal issue of prolonged adolescence. Cultural perceptions of adulthood. The cultural shifts that have contributed to Peter Pan syndrome reflect a changing understanding of what it means to be an adult. In previous generations, adulthood was defined by clear milestones such as securing a stable job, getting married, and starting a family. However, in modern society, these milestones are often delayed or redefined as more people prioritize personal fulfillment, education, or career exploration before settling into traditional adult roles. This shift in cultural expectations can be both empowering and destabilizing, as individuals navigate a world in which adulthood is no longer a rigidly defined stage of life. Generational conflict. Peter Pan syndrome can also exacerbate generational divides, particularly between baby boomers, Generation X, and millennials. Older generations may view the reluctance of younger individuals to embrace adulthood as a sign of laziness or irresponsibility, while younger generations may argue that economic instability and changing cultural values have made traditional markers of adulthood less accessible. This tension can fuel stereotypes and misunderstandings, with each generation blaming the other for societal shifts. Modern perspectives on adulthood and Peter Pan syndrome. In today's world, the lines between adolescence and adulthood are more blurred than ever before. While Peter Pan syndrome captures one extreme of this phenomenon, those who actively resist growing up, there is also a growing acceptance of non-traditional paths to adulthood. For some, delayed marriage, children, or career stability are simply byproducts of modern life, not signs of immaturity. In this context, the term Peter Pan syndrome can sometimes be used pejoratively to describe individuals who do not conform to outdated societal norms. However, it is important to distinguish between those who are delayed in achieving traditional milestones due to external circumstances and those who consciously avoid responsibility out of fear or immaturity. Peter Pan syndrome reflects a deeper psychological resistance to adulthood, one that goes beyond simply living at home or delaying marriage. It involves an unwillingness to engage with the emotional, financial, and relational aspects of adult life, and it can have long-term consequences for both the individual and those around them. Conclusion. Peter Pan syndrome, while not an officially recognized mental health disorder, captures a pervasive cultural and psychological phenomenon where individuals resist growing up and taking on the responsibilities of adulthood. From emotional immaturity and financial dependence to a fear of commitment, the characteristics of Peter Pan syndrome are multifaceted and can have lasting impacts on relationships, careers, and personal development. The syndrome is a reflection of broader societal changes, where economic pressures, shifting cultural norms, and the rise of digital escapism have made the transition into adulthood more complex than ever before. Overcoming Peter Pan syndrome requires self-awareness, emotional growth, and a willingness to embrace the challenges and rewards of adult life. For many, the journey toward maturity is a gradual one, requiring both internal reflection and external support from loved ones and professionals. As society continues to evolve, the definition of adulthood may change, but the fundamental need for emotional and social responsibility remains central to personal growth and fulfillment. Thank you for spending time with us through Spookscope today. Feel free to share your knowledge and wisdom in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends and family. Until next time, my dear spooker, stay curious.